Welcome to the show, Brandon. Today we have
Mhm.
Brandon, who does comms and growth at Marinade Finance. Marinade is the leading liquid staking and staking provider on Solana. So, really excited to get him on the show to talk about Marinade as well as the Solana ecosystem.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Been a big fan of the show for a while now, so glad to be here.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I'm glad we were able to
Mhm.
finally make it work. We're starting to do interviews again on the channel. I hadn't done them in about a year, but anyone who watches the channel recently knows that I'm a big fan of Solana, heavily using Solana DeFi. And so, uh, Marinade, I forget, how much exactly do you guys have stake now?
We're about 9.5 million SOL combined with our
Right.
native and liquid staking product. So yeah, it's been a nice couple of months for sure.
Yeah, totally. So,
Mhm.
as far as I know, the largest DApp on Solana. So definitely a project we wanted to get on the show. Sweet. So, start, Brandon. I gave my brief introduction, but
Mhm.
maybe you want to share something about yourself as well as Marinade for the viewers.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I've been at Marinade for about close to 2 years now. So I joined at the exact market top. So it's been a fun couple years crawling our way out. But it's been quite a journey. But yeah, I joined from a background of being like a managing editor at NBC Universal, and was just kind of going down the kind of crypto rabbit hole for really all of 2021, getting really interested in smart contracts and Ethereum and things like that, and just kind of the more I kind of got into it, the more I realized that what I was currently doing was not interesting enough. So I managed to just find a job on the Solana jobs board,
Oh, no kidding.
and I just happened to kind of catch Marinade at a time when they were really starting to scale up. I mean, this is like November 2021, kind of shortly after Breakpoint. Kind of everything was just through the roof, and they really needed help with like communications. Most of the team is kind of English as a second language for the most part. So they kind of saw my expertise as like an editor and communications valuable from NBC, and I was able to just dive in. And I'd say that I like a lot of people, I kind of got interested in crypto through Ethereum and this kind of idea of programmable money, and then you're trying to trade on it in like July 2021. It's when you're like you can't just like test and experiment on Ethereum when it's like a raging bull market. You're failing transactions and losing $200. So you start kind of like looking around for options, and I just found the user experience on Solana to just be so much nicer. You can kind of make mistakes, you can try things, you can um, you know you can play with it more. I know with the L2s now in Ethereum, maybe that's a little more possible, but back in 2021, I didn't have the kind of size or confidence to really want to dig in to Ethereum. And then this whole idea of liquid staking, I found Marinade pretty quickly, just on like some Reddit message boards, because everyone says stake your soul, and it's a very easy network to stake your soul on, and really everyone should do it. It's very easy and liquid, whether you native stake or liquid stake. But it's really kind of difficult to understand who you should be staking with. There are a couple thousand validators. Some validators can kind of do some sneaky things on you to take some of your commission. They can really change their commissions without telling you. Their performance could really decline, and it hurts your staking awards. And so Marinade had a really great value proposition of just, not only will we give you a liquid staking token that you can use in DeFi as like collateral and all over, but we're going to manage your stake for you to a huge set of trusted performant validators. And so like you don't have to keep tabs on the validator you're staking with, because Marinade is tracking all of this. The second a validator goes offline, or if they change commission, things like that, they're able to kind of change the delegation strategy and make sure that the right ones are there. So for me as like a newbie, that like made all the sense in the world. So that's kind of how I found Marinade and how I got into it. And it's been a very exciting couple of years. Obviously, the kind of the low point being the day after Breakpoint of 2022. Morale was a bit low. But I'm really proud of the ecosystem just in general, and all the people who stuck around and kept building. we had to get really scrappy. I think a lot of teams, especially in DeFi, had to get really scrappy because really like DeFi essentially died on Solana for a few months, especially with liquid staking tokens.
Mhm.
That there really was no like borrow lend market for liquid staking tokens for a while, and so that's all back now, and we're really humming these last couple of months. There's been just a lot of energy, and this last breakpoint that we went to was just awesome, just to see everyone who made it through, and teams are just stronger than ever, and just the chain's performing like crazy too. Like just that this old narrative of 2021, like downtimes
Mhm.
and things like that. It's just, I think we were like going on 10, 11 months with no downtime, and Fired Answer is really close.
Mhm.
And so it's just really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. I've gone from someone who I used Sol DeFi in 2021, but someone who hadn't used it in a year. So I would say I'm doing most of my DeFi on Sol the past few months. And interestingly, we're doing this challenge on this channel right now of trying to go from literally $0 in crypto to $1,000. Um,
Nice.
still we're working our way up. I'm still under 10, but I have a couple dollars now. But the interesting thing is, when I was working with like literally $2 or $3, which is crazy, right? I mean, in the uh,
Mhm.
in the United States, you could get, any job and get more than that in an hour. But working with $2 or $3, I was like, wow, well, Solana is really the only chain I can actually use right now because I need a fee that's like a fraction
Mhm.
of a penny. Otherwise, I'm going to be spending 10% of
Yeah.
my money on a chain. And I was actually, this isn't the strategy I'm going with, but I was like, I could actually trade with like 20 cents on Solana because the transaction fees are cheap enough you could, in theory, trade with 20 or 30 cents. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's really impressive, and people who still talk about the downtime aren't following all the improvements that have been made. One thing I'm curious to know is, why do you think that Marinade specifically in the broader Solana ecosystem was able to survive what happened with FTX and then the entire bear market? Because I've seen so many DeFi projects that died off over the past 2 years.
Yeah, well, it's kind of this culling of a herd concept. I think Marinade was able to sustain largely because we're bootstrapped and have always been really scrappy with our operating costs. We really didn't have any exposure to FTX. Alameda had some like MSOL stake, and I think they might have farmed the token a little bit. But we weren't like beholden to any VC, and so any VCs that like moved on or stopped funding us, it really didn't matter. I think a lot of teams were just very, very kind of disciplined in what they were doing. I think also developing on Solana is really good for developers because you can use, when you're kind of using the Sol gas fee, it's a lot um, it's a lot more affordable to like really build a lot of things. So that helps. It's I think, I'm not a developer. I think they could kind of give you a mixed bag of like the good and the bad of building on Solana. But I think bootstrap teams can on Solana, and I think seeing Sam kind of go down and sort of bring the chain with it for a while, the communities that were around really felt like this was their time to fill the void, and they just saw this huge opportunity and almost this second chance of being able to capture ownership of this chain that they believe in. So the NFT communities were always really strong, and I think we saw a lot of that trickle over to DeFi. You see NFT teams like building DeFi integrations. I'm not an NFT guy on Ethereum at all, but people who buy NFTs in Solana are like really engaged, and they use them for like staking and like all these different types of applications. You're not just like sending it to a cold wallet and kind of waiting for the price to go up. People are just extremely engaged
Mhm.
with their NFTs. So I really think the community has really kind of pushed us through, and a lot of people really kind of seized the void that Alameda left. Whether I think we can debate like how much influence Sam had on the chain. Um, I don't really think we ever, we had like, messages with FTX once in a while. They weren't really involved with us. And I think a lot of protocols would say the same. Now they were invested in others, and that caused issues, especially for those who like had to put their treasury in FTX. You saw protocols die that way. But, I think there was a lot of disciplined builders who saw the light at the end of the tunnel. And I think we're finally seeing that. It was a brutal year. You're kind of
Mhm.
like asking yourself, like, man, are we going to make it out of this thing?
Yeah.
But you kind of believe in the tech, and I think totally from the top sets this just awesome vibe of humility and curiosity that I think I was attracted to, and I think I am probably not alone in that.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that definitely
Mhm.
that definitely resonates. That absolutely resonates. And so, Marinade has not just survived though, but has, I would say, thrived. You were
Mhm.
talking about 9 point something million sold between your two products. Doing the quick math, that's what, 500 some $1 million now total for people who want to convert to USD. So
Yeah,
a
it's
lot of money.
price is going crazy,
Yeah,
so I never I never know when this is gonna go live and everything. It
yeah,
could be $10 either way.
yeah. It's true. As the time we're recording this, it's probably 500 some $1 million. So basically, a lot of money
Mhm,
is staked with Marinade. Um, why do you think Marinade was able to reach sort of the top largest DApp on Solana, and why do you think it was able to stay there?
mhm. Well, it obviously helps to have the first mover advantage, and I mentioned kind of being scrappy in the last question, but we had 2 hackathon teams just get together in the spring of 2021, that were looking at liquid staking, and they realized they could get it done quicker if they combined forces, and really, like, a pretty small, group of developers were able to get to mainnet about a month before Lido, and so that enabled us to kinda jump them, which at the time was, like, unheard of, given the strength of Lido. But I think just having a focus on Solana was big too, and also the fact that our delegation strategy is really community-centric and decentralization-centric. And to give a little background of how Marinade works is, like, the goals are really to, like, decentralize Solana as best we can through its delegation strategy and make it performant. And so people are staking with us knowing that they're supporting the network. And the validators love telling the story too. They love telling people, hey, like, you can stake with me or you can stake with Marinade and really support the network even better. And we've seen a lot of great validators like Lane, even though they've like achieved super minority status, they're like still supportive of us. Cogent Crypto, Solana Compass, just to name drop a few, Solana Hub. Um, so the community is really like behind it because especially when you think about 2021, everyone said, Solana is a centralized scam chain. Well, how do you fight that narrative? You stake with Marinade because Marinade is decentralizing to this huge validator network, and we've been able to really grow the Nakamoto coefficient over time and help the performance. And also just being the bootstrapped company with the MNDE governance token, people really feel like they can have an ownership, like a bigger stake in the DAO than maybe one that has more kind of VC attachment to it. It's really quite easy to gain influence in Marinade right now, just being that community ethos.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah, so you touched on the staking versus liquid staking within Marinade. Can you talk a little bit more about the advantages of one versus the other, if someone's deciding which to do?
Yeah, we started as a liquid staking protocol in 2021, and really in the summer of 2023, this year, we added native staking. Um, so we really think of ourselves now as like an optimized staking strategy and not like a liquid staking protocol anymore. And if you look at our TVL right now, we've got about 6 million liquid, 3 million native. Um, and if you kind of step back a little bit and look at Solana overall, only about 3% of stake is liquid staked. And we're always asked, like, why is that? Why is it such a small amount? And part of it is because native staking is so easy to do and get out of instantly. Like, you can unstake your native stake instantly with the liquidity the way it is. So it's not like other chains where you might have to wait 14 days or a month to get your stake back. I mean, native staking on Solana is actually really liquid already, but liquid staking introduces another idea of being able to also use it in DeFi. But we also found that a lot of investors don't want to use their stake in DeFi yet. They're kind of waiting for protocols to continue to grow and get battle tested. So we're seeing that appetite kind of happen. But we introduced the native product really to serve as a way for people to access the delegation strategy of Marinade to like the 100 validators without the liquid staking smart contract risk. So you can kind of choose either way. Like if you want to really use your liquid staking token in DeFi, then this is a DeFi channel, so maybe we focus more on that. you go with MSOL and the liquid staking. If I don't want to use it in DeFi, you're better off native staking. And really what we're able to do is just create all these stake accounts instantly for you. And you've basically got like 100 stake accounts being kind of actively managed by Marinade with the same delegation strategy. And there's no smart contract, and you maintain withdrawal authority the whole time. So it's really two ways to do it. Personally, I have both. I've got like a native stack and liquid stack because I do enjoy the degen pursuits a little bit. So yeah, I think it's to each their own, and we just wanted to make sure that everyone kind of had an option to access the delegation strategy that supports Solana and is kind of a better thing to use if you don't want to kind of babysit a validator's performance.
That makes a lot of sense. Yes, you mentioned it is a DeFi channel, although we talk about all things crypto on here. I want to talk a little bit more about MSOL. So what's the vision for MSOL as far as how someone would be able to use it, and what's the vision for building more places that it can be used in the future?
Yeah, I think most people on Solana are believers that like at some point they want to see liquid staking tokens used like everywhere, like more so than the Sol token. But because really the Tolly talks about this a lot. Like he sees Sol as like the mechanism to like stake with validators, and that's like securing and supporting the network. Like all your Sol should be staked. Because it's important to remind people that like Solana is on like an inflationary schedule. So I think right now it's around 5-6% a year, and it declines eventually down to about 1.5%. But like if you're holding Sol and you're not staking it, you're getting diluted by the chain. So like that out of the way, like for sure, at least stake it. But like with MSOL, then we want it really used throughout the ecosystem, and we'd like to see all liquid staking tokens integrated throughout the ecosystem. And I think we've seen like trading volumes pick up with it. Liquidity has really picked up on chain with it. NFT marketplaces, I think stay tuned there. I think we're going to see NFT marketplaces start utilizing them more. We've already got a couple like RainFi and Liquify are integrating liquid staking tokens with NFTs. There's also this idea of like using liquid staking tokens for like yield bearing stablecoins that was discussed by the Jupiter team at Breakpoint. So this idea of kind of like this kind of like this model of creating a yield bearing stablecoin by kind of longing and shorting LSTs.
Oh, interesting.
We'll see. We'll see if that comes out. I know I'm not going to speak on behalf of the Jupiter team, but that was a presentation they had at Breakpoint. So I think a lot of people see interesting things for it. I also think we can kind of touch on the governance aspect of MSOL too, because that's interesting. You can vote for validators to receive Marinade stake with both the MSOL liquid staking token or the MNDE governance token. And we're starting to see validators actually like provide like boosts and rewards if you direct stake to them through Marinade, because they get like a lot more stake that way, and they want to attract the MSOL and MNDE stake. And we've even seen a proposal come out in the last week of this idea of building like a platform or a marketplace for like enhanced staking rewards if you vote for them through Marinade. So I'm eager to see where that lands.
Oh,
I think
wow.
that's pretty exciting, and we've already seen like a little bit of that. You can, if you look up a few validators like Solana Hub, Step Finance is doing it. You can get like additional rewards staking by directing stake to them through MNDE or MSOL. So it's kind of this cool gamified kind of governance model to get even more rewards than just what the pool is getting you.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, definitely want to touch on that when we look at the platform in a second.
Yeah, I mean, what's crazy is the Solana community is so nuts. Like people will start building with MSOL and Marinade. It's all like open source on an SDK. And we don't even know about it. And they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we built this. And you're like, wow, okay.
That's got to be wild.
Yeah. So I mean, we saw this proposal come out a week or two ago about this marketplace. And we're like, hey, do you guys want to get involved with us? Like, do you want to talk to But I think that's another misconception about Solana is open source building is very much alive
Mhm.
here. Um, and I think the communities oftentimes just take ideas and run with them. And I think that it's an exciting place to be here for that, even if it's hard to keep up.
Mhm. Very cool. So in a second, I want to actually go into the platform and we can talk about governance as well as just take a look at Marinade
Mhm.
itself. Before we do that, what's on the horizon for Marinade?
Yeah, we're looking at a few things. We're redoing the delegation strategy, which we like to do, maybe once a year or so. We had some good discussions at Breakpoint around what we should do to kind of improve the delegation strategy, both from a performance and decentralization perspective. What's interesting is we used to stake to 400 validators, but then when FTX happened, economically, it made no sense to give validators at the end of the tail like 10 SOL of stake. Like that was just kind of pointless. We figured let's condense it and make sure that we're giving meaningful support to a smaller group of validators. But now, given the change in the market, the enhanced stake that Marinade has, we want to revisit it and make sure that they're getting more support. We're also looking at this concept of like almost like a staking insurance or like a bonds concept where validators have to kind of guarantee their performance to ensure the stake pool is as performant as possible. So that's an interesting thing we're working through. We're working with validators and making sure that that's all good to go as well. But and then also I think we're always looking to update the tokenomics of MNDE as well. And we've been having a lot of discussions there and making sure the market liquidity is good enough, and the utility is where we want it to be.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, so um, we want to briefly share sort of what the utility or tokenomics are like now before we get in the platform.
Sure. Yeah. MNDE was fair launched October 2021. So it's been out about 2 years now. Zero VC allocation
Wow.
and a 7.5% founding team allocation. Uh, and so really the idea behind MNDE at this point is contributors were compensated on a milestone basis, not a time basis. So we made that decision last year. We decided that, we're not just going to pay ourselves any MNDE just because we've been here. We're only going to do it, if we hit TVL
I love
milestones
that.
that grow the protocol. Yeah. So that was like, it was pretty brutal on us last year.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I mean, most of us had to like really kind of cut back on not just like base like compensation, but that. And so, but yeah, we passed like an 8 million milestone, hit it last month, and then we just voted on a 16 million TVL milestone, and these unlocks happen over the course of a year or two.
Mhm.
So we're not like dumping like rapidly or anything. So really the idea with MNDE is like TVL grows, more MNDE gets emitted because like if you look at our FDV, we have like a lot of MNDE that's in the treasury,
Mhm.
but the idea behind the DAO is that gets distributed as TVL grows, and it's not just going to go out because of
Mhm.
time. We want to see like meaningful contributions from both people who like build with Marinade or protocols who like grow MSOL use cases, TVL. We give out grants to people who build MSOL use cases, things like that. So we're trying to be really responsible with what we do with it.
Mhm. Oh, very cool. Very cool. And then what's the utility for MND right now? Why would someone hold
Yeah, so right now you would want to hold it number one for voting in the DAO.
it?
That's
Mhm.
kind of the easy thing. There are proposals. It's control of the DAO treasury too.
Okay.
So you really kind of vote on executing when to distribute treasury funds. And I touched on it earlier, but really the cool thing for kind of your regular Solana person is this idea of directed stake and this emerging use case of like the boosted rewards that validators are building. So you can direct your stake to a validator um, and get like additional staking incentives by doing it if you send it to the right one. Some validators are like more kind of like bespoke, and you kind of have to do like things on the sly with them, or through DMs, and then others are very transparent with it. So I would say like if you've got like a smaller stack, you can still do it with a handful of validators who are offering it, And then if you're a whale, you kind of go through probably back channels with it. But the MNDE, like for validators, like a lot of validators have been getting MNDE because then they can direct stake to their node, and that translates into like a very real, SOL increase of staking rewards for them. So that was kind of the initial thing that we noticed, is that validators wanted to make sure that they had it to not only help influence the protocol and the delegation strategy, but also attract more SOL through the protocol.
Cool. Awesome. Should we take a look at the platform?
Yeah, we put a lot of time into the platform this year, kind of build mode all the way. So happy to go through
Sweet.
it with you guys because
Yeah, I'm going to share it. Let's see. All right. Can you see it?
yep,
All right. Let me just
nice.
find a good view. All right. I like this one. There we go. Awesome.
Yeah,
So, what am I looking at here?
yeah. This is the staking dApp. So this is the homepage. This is where the magic happens. It looks like your wallet's connected
Yep.
already. You've got a fat stack of 0.12 SOL.
This is my YouTube wallet. We were talking about this before.
And your APY is down there. That kind of gives you a quick overview. If you scroll down,
Okay.
the recommended strategies. This is your kind of TLDR of whether you should liquid stake or native stake, and that APY is including the incentives. Right now, we have an MND incentives program going on through the end of 2023, where you will be able to claim MND at the end of it. So
Okay.
the native staking yield is slightly higher just because there's no performance fee on it.
Mhm.
So Marinade liquid staking has a 6% fee on rewards, whereas native has no fee.
Okay. So you guys don't earn
Um,
any fees from the native staking.
right now, no.
Okay.
Yeah, that's part of like the validator project we're working on. We'll see what comes of that. But at the moment, we are making no fee, given that it's a brand new product.
Okay. Got it. All right. Yeah. So I'm really interested in this rewards thing right now. Um,
hmm
so, yeah, one thing I was confused about when I looked at this was 100 MND per 100 soul staked. Is that 100? What time period is that for?
So that's over the course of 3 months.
Okay.
So in order to get, and really we just say like 100. It could be one too. It's like a 1-to-1
hmm
ratio. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio of one MNDE per one soul staked for the course of the full 3 months
Okay.
of the program, which it began. So
So with 1
we
month
got about a
left,
month
you'd get
left.
one third.
You'd get, mhm, yeah,
Okay. Got it. Got it. Yeah, I wasn't sure because yeah, that answers the question. Because I was like, well, it's obviously not per day because that would be ridiculous. And so I
yeah,
wasn't sure what the time period. Okay. So
yeah.
that's pretty cool program. And then, have you guys done anything like this before?
Well, this is really a new spin on the liquidity mining and
Mhm.
airdrop stuff we did. As I said, we came out 2 years ago, so we kind of fired all our airdrop
Mhm.
bullets then. And now we just want to be more protective of the token. It's already got pretty decent liquidity uh, and distribution.
Mhm.
So that this is more conservative than like your initial blast of liquidity
Mhm.
that you see new protocols do. So yeah, we had liquidity mining, airdrop, and all that. And I think what I'll point out here is that the ratio of rewards you get is the same regardless of how big or small of a holder you are. There's no like PvP. You're not going up against like whales
Got it.
fighting over a fixed amount of rewards.
Mhm.
Like if I stake 100,000 soul, I get 100,000 MNDE. If I stake 10, I get 10. It's not I'm not, as like a small fish, I'm not getting just crushed.
Mhm.
So I think that kind of fits the ethos of Marinade, I think.
That's cool too. What's the origin of the name Marinade?
It was called a few things back in the day. They had several names
Mhm.
to it, and I think just the idea of like staking and cooking. We love talking about cooking in crypto
Mhm.
and devs cooking and marinade. You're just you got kind of this like liquid idea of
Liquid
staking.
and
So
cooking.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we've gone through several rebrands and color changes over 2 years, but I think we're happy with where we're at.
Okay. Gotcha.
I love the hat. I think the hat's solid, and the original branding was like very close to Solana and color
Mhm.
scheme, and we wanted to make sure that we stood out. So that's kind of where we landed on this kind of brighter, welcoming color scheme.
Oh, it's nice, very soothing. All right, so we got the staking tab. We've got this liquidity tab.
Mhm.
What is this?
Yeah. So the liquidity tab, Marinade operates its own liquidity pool. It's just an MSOL liquidity pool, and this handles like instant unstaking
Oh,
operations.
okay.
So we earn a little bit of fees off it, but it's obviously a very competitive thing now, and there's a ton of liquidity. So you can supply liquidity to Marinade, and it'll become an MSOL LP, and you earn fees off that.
Oh, interesting. And so that 6.83% is going to be on top of half of that pool. You're also earning the MSOL staking. Is that right?
Mhm. Yeah, and the APY really goes up and down on that pool.
Mhm.
So if the pool kind of declines, then that's when you want to jump in
Mhm.
and add more. What's interesting with Marinade is you can instantly unstake your MSOL, and it uses a liquidity router. So we compare our pool with Jupiter's aggregator,
Mhm.
and it'll give you the lowest cost. And in most cases these days, like your slippage is nothing. It's like 0.1%
Mhm.
or something to instantly unstake. So it's really good for people who really want to move stuff around.
Interesting. And if I was swapping MSOL to Sol on Jupiter, do they tap into this or not?
Yeah, yeah,
They do. Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, we're one of the routes that they look at. So yeah, they always find the lowest price, and Marinade's included.
Interesting. Okay. Cool. I mean, that makes total sense. And then the earn tab, this is okay. This is the staking and refer to earn MND thing we talked about.
That's it. Yeah. So if you stake, or if you send out a referral link,
Hmm.
and they stake one soul, you'll also get one MND for it. So it's kind of the same ratio. So a soul that's referred is giving one MND
Hmm.
to the staker and the refer.
Yeah, actually, I do think I have a few referrals because I listed
Mhm,
Marinade as one of my top
mhm.
Solana DeFi projects back in actually at this
Nice.
point it was almost 2 months ago. Funny, it's funny to look at the comments on that video from 2 months ago versus the comments I get in Solana videos now. There's a lot of negative comments at the time, but a lot of people who I think probably wish they had taken advantage of opportunities back then.
Yeah, I think we've all got blind
Yeah,
spots.
that's
I
true.
think it's impossible to keep up with every chain. Um, I get why people share old news about Solana,
Mhm.
and I think one of the best things about Solana is that we kind of welcome the criticism, and we address it. We don't run from it, and that's to me, I think that just makes us all
Mhm.
stronger as a community. In that, we can. But the other thing is, like, technically, there is some backing to this stuff,
Mhm.
and I think just the more I'm personally excited about all the consumer use cases that can be built off Solana, that you can really kind of strip away all the kind of crypto stuff to it and just have kind of Solana humming in the background. I think Solana is in pretty good position for that.
Mhm.
Especially if Fire Dancer comes out and they're going to be hitting these like 1 million TPS numbers, which sounds kind of mind boggling. I'll believe it when I see it. But I'm not an engineer, so um, I'll look forward to seeing that speed, because that's nuts,
Yeah, I mean,
and that can
that
handle a
is
lot.
crazy. I mean, people, you know, like the perspective of that would be, like I forget how many TPS Stripe does, but I don't think it's that many. So that would
Yeah, it's a
it's
lot.
yeah, a
And
million TPS is like, I mean, because you have to extrapolate. Then okay, in a minute, that means you're doing 60 million, right?
yeah, yeah, I think when Fire Dancer comes out, it's huge, because that gives us a third validator client. So that really helps the stability of the chain. I know Ethereum has multiple clients
Mhm.
too, um, but you'll have the Solana Labs validator client. You'll have the Jito fork of that, which is the same code. And so the Solana team says, like, if there's a bug in one, there's probably a bug in the other. So like they're really looking forward to Fire Dancer being built on a completely different code base, because then they feel like stability of the chain will just be excellent, and performance will just fly.
Mhm. Awesome. Awesome. Um, so we've covered Marinade, pretty big depth. Before we wrap up,
Mhm.
one thing I thought was interesting was your background you talked about earlier, coming from NBC Universal to to the Solana jobs board and then finding this job at Marinade. What advice would
Uh,
you give to anyone who maybe was coming from outside the world of crypto and was looking to enter crypto professionally?
uh, I would say have a very supportive spouse. I think I would like around this time every year, like around the holidays, I would like kind of complain about my Web 2 job. And then one year she was just like, then just effing do something else already. Sick of you whining. She obviously blessed me to take the plunge. I think you just have to get your hands dirty. Having like crypto experience and curiosity is huge. I think having attitude, just like the right attitude, the ability to like roll up your sleeves and get it done. I think there's kind of a low bar in a lot of places for like professional behavior, if that makes sense. I don't know if you've noticed this.
Oh yeah.
Like, don't call me bro like in a cold call.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not your bro, man. Like, and maybe I'm sounding like a boomer here.
That is true. It's off-putting.
But
And I talk like that. There's people who I, have had business relationships with for a year now, and I've met in person in crypto, and we talk like that. But I find it off-putting when someone
yeah,
I've never met does that.
yeah, it's just very unprofessional. I don't want to do business with you. I think you need like, I do love the anon culture. Like at first, I didn't really know how I felt about it. I've really come around to believe that it's extremely valuable. I think about people in Indonesia who can really open up doors for themselves in crypto being anon. They wouldn't be able to do that on Wall Street. So I'm big into anon, but that doesn't mean you can just be totally unprofessional.
Mm.
I think it's such a collaborative space. I just love how like you can like you can talk to like the biggest fish in crypto like very easily. Like I think about NBC. I'm in this giant company. I could barely get FaceTime with someone like 3 or 4 rings up from me.
Mhm.
And like in Solana, I can just like get advice from Tolly
Mhm.
like immediately. Like he's always online. um and that's just it's awesome. Like there's so many big brains around you at all
Mhm.
times. I would say there's a social engineering element right now where people will offer you jobs and they're like North Korean hackers and drain you. So like you have to be mindful of that. Just I think we always have to just have our wits about us anytime we're on the internet with a hot wallet. But I think curiosity, find the right vibe, um, and just apply to tons of stuff.
Mhm.
I don't think I applied to too many crypto jobs. Honestly, I think I just caught the right timing with Marinade. Honestly, just sometimes you just fire off that application at the exact right time,
Mhm.
and it's just serendipitous.
That's awesome. Love to hear it. Love to
Still
hear it.
here. I
You're
mean,
still here. Yeah.
I think like I feel like I've like gone too far at this point. Like I can't go
Mhm.
back. Like even if I would have tried to get a Web 2 job, like in June, like what would my resume say? Like, oh, like TVL's declined 90%, impressions are down 80% on my watch. Like,
Well, try being someone
how am I
who
supposed to
full
send that?
time runs a YouTube channel and newsletter, right? Yeah, it would
Yeah.
be. It's also the sort of thing where I tell myself now, I'm like, well, if crypto takes off in 4 years, and I had been, working in it full time, had all these connections, and then I said, I'm just going to move on, and then it took off. I think it would be one of those
Yeah.
things where it was like that was my shot, and I blew it.
Yeah.
So either
Yeah.
gotta ride or die now, where either it takes off and I
Yep.
run with it, or the industry dies off and I say, okay, that was a bad bet, but I learned some stuff.
Yeah. 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 I'm with you. You can't, yeah, we've come too far. There's no turning back.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always entertaining. Like, thanks to the memes who kept us going throughout the downturn. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Twitter, like crypto Twitter, is so deranged that like some days it's just good for the soul.
It's a good way to look at it. Good way to look at it. On that note, it was awesome to have you on, Brandon.
Yeah.
Really great to learn more about Marinade. I hope people appreciate it as well. Uh, any parting words?
No, just stake your soul either with us or someone else. But it's great to have, and the Solana community is awesome. find a community in Solana. They're very, very welcoming. There's that meme, Solana is for the poors, that we debate whether that's good or bad. But in my opinion, it's great. Anybody can come to Solana and find a community. So that's why I'm here, and we welcome everyone.